Final.
It's a heady for Hyman. Overtime winner. Moves to the outside, works his way. What a goal! Nick, wow!
It's just a Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. It's just a Saturday night.
Shawnee Kish launches not just any Saturday night. Sunrise, Florida, 26 degrees north latitude. Edmonton, by contrast, is 53. It's 29 degrees, 84 Fahrenheit. And as we sit here nibbling sponge cake, watching the sun bake, can't help but notice all these tourists covered with oil. Suntan oil everywhere, Edmonton oil everywhere. Just a really special vibe for the 2024 Stanley Cup Final. The Edmonton Oilers, Florida Panthers, boyhood dreamers, Bennett, McDavid, the 50-goalers, Hyman, Reinhart, the beasts, Barkov and Draisaitl, the number ones, Nugent Hopkins, Ekblad, the hitman, Kachuk and Kane, the overtime heroes, Bouchard and Verhaeghe. It's all here. 6 shooters at high noon, or sunrise, as it were. Good evening. Welcome to the Stanley Cup Final with Jennifer Botterill, Kelly Rudy, Kevin Bieksa. Jennifer, Florida, Edmonton. Where are you on this series?
Well, it should be great. It'll be fast. It'll be physical. And if you think about the Panthers, they're coming in with more confidence and a more serious approach than they had last year. And the Oilers, they're being led by McDavid and Draisaitl, but they're getting massive contributions throughout the lineup. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has been tremendous. The D's been great. And Kel Skinner, he's found a way to be so reliable in net for them.
I'm really looking forward to this series, and for a couple of reasons. But one, when Dallas were going to play Edmonton, I had some people, one really good hockey guy that I really trust, tell me that Dallas is easily going to beat Edmonton. Didn't happen. I've had people tell me that Florida's a better team, a little deeper team. Who knows, right? It's going to be a great series.
Great start for the three of you so far, but I still think that you might need one of these before we really get going. Ron, that's yours.
On the eyes.
Kelly, that's yours right there.
For the eyes.
And I tracked down. These are hard to get now, but now I'm ready to go. So the way I see this is I always think about what Wayne Gretzky said, how there's 3 seasons. There's the regular season, there's the playoffs, the first 3 rounds, and then there's the Stanley Cup Final. Very easy during the playoffs to go next game mentality, thinking about, staying in the moment, staying in the present, thinking about the process is something we like to say. But then the finals happens, and now all of a sudden you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you can start, human nature kicks in. You start thinking about, well, what if we win? What if we fulfill a boyhood, childhood dream? Well, that's creeping in right now. There's a lot of distractions. It's tough to stay focused. Game 1, they'll want to get through this and feel good about themselves.
I think DA and Elliott later are going to show Connor walking in, and you can just see everything you just said there. Yeah, searching for our lost smelling salt. Jimmy Buffett, I'm stealing from you again. Okay, tidbits now from Kyle Bukowskis. Kyle.
Okay, Ron, I don't know if I'm at Amerant Bank Arena or Rogers Place with some of the chanting going on here behind me. We expect all systems go for both sides here ahead of Game 1, but also Warren Foegele back in the lineup for Edmonton. We've shown the rally towels here in Florida a few times throughout these playoffs. Tonight, a reminder, just one final name for them to cross off for the Panthers to win their first ever Stanley Cup. Matthew Tkachuk saying it's a great time to be a Panther. Maybe part of the reason for that is that they did not have to travel over 4,000 kilometers like the Oilers did this week, so plenty of activities to keep the team busy on the plane. I had never heard of the card game Schnarps until Dylan Holloway brought it up yesterday, and Leon Draisaitl wasn't going anywhere near Mario Kart, but one of the players did say it didn't feel as long as they thought it would, so no need for a countdown like Zach Hyman had going at the end of last round.
4, 3, 2,
So great anticipation down here at ice level. Oilers fans from North Carolina, from Edmonton, from Toronto, all have their countdown on to puck drop a little over 45 minutes away, Ron.
David, Elliot, and Kyle, that was Hyman was like the opera singer at the restaurant last night. Over to you two, DA.
That's right, he hit all the right notes. And listen, what more can we ask for, Elliot? We have the two best teams, and we have the best player in the world. And it really has come full circle for Connor McDavid. Remember, he was drafted here in this building 9 years ago. It's been a long and at times difficult wait, but here he is finally, Stanley Cup final.
People always get judged by championships. Hockey's a team game. As much as you have one star player, in their case, two star players, you need a team to get there. Wayne Gretzky's fourth season was his first in the Stanley Cup final. He won his first cup in year number 5. Mario Lemieux, 7 seasons. He won in his first try. Sidney Crosby, 3 seasons. And remember, they lost to Detroit, then won in year number 4 over those same Red Wings. Meanwhile, Alexander Ovechkin had to wait 13 long years before the Capitals beat Vegas in their first try in 2018. Connor McDavid, as you mentioned, is in season number 9, and he's always been great. Now the team has grown up around him, and for the 4th straight game, it's this combination. Even the pants are the same. That suit is going to be walking by itself if the Oilers win 4 games in a row to win this series. Not that anybody's predicting that.
And Ron, listen, the crowning jewel for his incredible resume would be a Stanley Cup championship. And don't forget, he's also probably the front runner for a Conn Smythe. Leads all players in points. 9 multi-point games already for 97 this postseason.
And didn't you think that walk-in was special? He's had the week to think about this, but of course, really, he's had a lifetime to think about it. Paul Maurice knows about that. Kyle, down to you.
Thanks, Ron. Paul, in your second straight trip here to the Stanley Cup final, in what ways are your group better prepared this time around?
Well, I guess the two things. The one started last summer. We made some additions to our team that are very, very important to the year that we've had. So we like to think we're a deeper hockey team. And we certainly know starting the game anyway, we're much healthier than we were. We had some critical players playing hurt, and then we had some guys out of our lineup last year.
You were saying the other day, at this point in your life, you're not too worried about what you say. You definitely don't care about what other people think you. And I wonder, in a pressure cooker environment like this, what it means to be in that state of mind.
I mean, that's maybe the only advantage of getting old. I don't have the right set of words. It's not that I don't care. It's that I've found it much easier for me just to say what I feel, tell the truth. I mean, I'm not giving you our playbook or taking you inside the room all the time, but I get up there and I realize that I'm emotional too, and sometimes in a great mood and sometimes I'm not, and I don't try to be as consistent, and then I don't try to remember what I've said because it gets lost by the next interview.
Lastly, I mean, you said this morning, you don't need coffee for this one because everyone's going to be wired, but it's part of your routine, is it not?
No, I'm way down, so I'm on 1 or 2 this morning, and I'm just going to time the next one so I'm not rolling too hot when I get on the bench.
All right, good luck with that. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Scott.
Rod.
Kyle, the question for the caffeine is, what's the matchup? Is it going to be Barkov against McDavid or against Draisaitl? Where are you on the matchup game, Jeff?
Well, regardless of who the matchup ends up being, I feel like McDavid has been tremendous, and he leads the way with 31 points in this postseason. You think about starting off and establishing the pace early in the first round, in Game 1, the passing, finding the open player, the seams. He's just been dominant. The spin around and the offensive finish as well, Kevin. I mean, that's the biggest task for the Panthers. I mean, almost impossible to stop McDavid with all of his tools, the dynamic force that he is on the ice. But Kevin, is there a way to contain him or slow him down in some capacity?
Well, if there is, Jen, and I'll answer the question, Ron, it is going to be Barkov, the Selke winner this year, and he's got the rare skill set that you need. He obviously has the defensive awareness, the great stick to know what are the most dangerous places on the ice. You have to be able to skate like right here to play against the big boys. And Barkov, although he's a lot bigger than Connor, he's still pretty good on his feet and he can skate well. And you know what he's going to do that's probably the best out of everything? He's going to make Connor defend. He's going to hang on to pucks down low, and he's going to make Connor play as much as he can in the D zone.
I think this is going to be a really hard matchup for Barkov. I just think with McDavid, his skill set, nobody's been able to stop McDavid. Jen, you went through those early rounds and great centermen that he was playing against, and yet Barkov, he's a tremendous player, having maybe perhaps his best postseason, but I still think that he's got a real huge challenge in front with McDavid.
I have another question for you, Kevin. What's more important? What center matches up against McDavid or Draisaitl, or what defensive tandem?
Well, I think you can be greedy, Ron. On home ice, you can get both. You can get the 2D out there that you want. You can get Barkov. So if you have your choice, you're going to give Forsling and Ekblad as many shifts as you can against Connor. And they both defend in different ways. But Forsling, we know his story. Best plus-minus of the season by far. And Ekblad, he's a big guy. He's going to have to put a body on Connor when he can catch him, when he can get him down low. And they'll get the lion's share minutes in Game 1 and Game 2, certainly, unless they don't do a good enough job. But you look at what they've done on 5-on-5 so far in the playoffs. Kucherov, a lot of people think he should have won the Hart Trophy. Pasternak kept those two guys really quiet. Zibanejad and Kreider, I don't even know if they played last series, but that's because they did such a great job.
Okay, Kev, sorry to interrupt there. Zach Hyman, Zach, it's Ron. Thank you for joining us. Congrats on the goal that put your team into the Stanley Cup. I'll let Kevin go. He's got the first question for you.
Hey, Zach, congrats. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. I always think about, you feel like it's your personal job to kind of establish that net front presence in front of Bobrovsky early on in Game 1?
Yeah, it's always my job. So I go to the paint. That's where I go. That's where I score, and that's where, hopefully things happen.
I want to start, Zach, with off the ice. So I'm a big believer in positive self-talk. Did something change in your belief in the way in which you play and how successful you can be? Because 27 goals 3 years ago, then you go to 36, 54 this year, and 14 in the playoffs. That's huge growth.
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen overnight. I think every year I've tried to get better, and I came in the league, I scored 10 goals. You don't go from 10 to 54. You just keep trying to get better, and obviously I play with the best player in the world, so that helps a lot.
And Zach, you told us yesterday about having an unshakable belief. How often do you think about that, and how influential has that been for this team?
All the time. Hockey's a funny sport. It's a roller coaster. We experience it in the regular season. We've experienced it in the playoffs, and you always have to have that belief in your team that you can pull through, and we have that in this room.
Love your goals in the paint, Zach, but that wasn't in the paint. That one that put your team in the cup. That was a howitzer. Congrats. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
There's Zach Hyman. David Elliott to you.
All right, Ron. Well, the Florida Panthers, the #1 defensive team in the NHL this year. However, if there is an advantage for the Oilers, maybe it's the offense they get from their blue line, counting for 22% of their goals so far in the postseason, led by Evan Bouchard.
Well, Bouchard, everybody knows he can score and everybody knows he can get points. But if you ask anyone around the team what's been so much better this year that he's taken such a huge step, they talk a lot about how he imposes his will a lot more on the ice now. Duncan Keith talked about it when Duncan Keith was here. He gets a lot of credit. Bouchard let the game come to him a lot. Now he's more aggressive. He demands the puck. He goes and chases plays. And in his own zone, you're not going to win every battle, but he initiates more battles and he fights longer in battles. And they really believe that those are the things that Bouchard has done. They all knew he had the talent. Now he's showing the will that has to go with the skill.
Yeah, the maturation of his game's been impressive. Meanwhile, could be a rivalry renewed. The matchup within the matchup, Evander Kane and Matthew Tkachuk. We all remember what happened 2 years ago.
You know, the Edmonton Oilers players gave Evander Kane a lot of credit for taking Matthew Tkachuk out of that series, the Battle of Alberta. And you know, they said there was one thing that Tkachuk probably regretted, and that was that, giving him the money sign. One of the things that the Oilers say that Kane can do is he gets on one player on the other team, or he takes command of one player on the other team. It was in this series, it was against Tkachuk. And remember, Game 1, which was a big Calgary win, Tkachuk had the hat trick. But then Kane got on him, and it really changed. In Vancouver this year, it was Zadorov. Early in that series, by the way, what a fit walking in. I know all the talk is about McDavid. That's awesome. But against Zadorov, early in that series, he was dominant for Vancouver. Kane got to him, and it slowed him down. That's what Evander Kane can do. He can take someone out of a series.
And Ron, as far as all the chirping goes, Matthew Tkachuk says, it's a different team. I'm a different player. I'm a more mature player. I'm going to do my talking between the whistles.
You know, DA, and to Kelly, your point, I know it's Kevin who's going to talk about the physicality, but when Dallas came in and they said, oh, way deeper, it's like, way more physical Florida, and you just wonder if Edmonton will have a response to that.
Yep.
Kevin, what do you think?
Well, we've been talking about how physical Florida is in the Panthers. They're not by any means the biggest team or the most physical team ever, but what they do is when they hit, they eliminate you from the play, and that's what's so effective. You really notice it on the forecheck, and you look at the numbers. They have 739 hits in this playoffs, and a lot of these hits, some of them are like this. Big hit by Tkachuk there, but the majority of them are not as big as that, but almost just as effective. They're on the forecheck. Elimination right there. Hit, elimination. Here comes another guy. Hit and elimination. So there's two ways to beat that. Now, one's going to be to make a short pass, suck a guy in, make a quick pass, move it, and then get it going north. And they did this against Dallas. They showed that they can do this, and they actually created a penalty here by Hyman, and they scored on the power play. Or what you do is one quick pass or rim, and then that puck has to go far blue line. You have to high flip it, and then you can skate onto it. Maybe you get a bounce. These are two of the most ideal situations. They don't always have to be that clean, and this one's going to lead to a McDavid goal right here. But those are the two options you have to alleviate the pressure. They're coming hard game one in Florida.
Well, and Kev, they're coming, and it's so consistent, and it's in every zone. It's on the forecheck. It's in their D zone. The D like to step up in the neutral zone. And I think for the Oilers, there's a couple of things. One is that awareness. They say they're prepared. They know it's coming. But then the one thing Knobloch said, he said, our team plays at their best when they're at ease. So for them to be able to see that pressure coming and then make those smart decisions for the support options to get through that pressure they know is on its way.
And look out for this guy, Sam Bennett. He's been a wrecking crew this entire playoff. So what are the keys for the Oilers when Bennett's out there? Well, if you're on the bench, yell. Make sure that everybody on the ice knows when Bennett's out there, because you don't want him delivering one of those massive checks.
And you can use that as an advantage for if you're an Oiler player. When you know a guy's coming to hit you, if you sidestep him, you can beat him up ice.
Yep.
You just have to be aware and know that it's coming.
Power play.
So the Oilers' power play is special, and you always wonder, sometimes power plays are really good in the regular season and then not so effective in the playoffs. Well, these guys have been effective regular season and playoffs, and I think it's because of the options that they have. They have so many options that they can beat you. I'm going to show you right here. This is the power play in the postseason, 37%. Super impressive, big reason why they're here. These are their top three options. The Leon scene. Connor likes to get this puck off the flank, attack the middle, and he's looking for Draisaitl. And this seam, he's got one of the best one-timers from that angle since Mario Lemieux. Second option, McDavid likes to find Hyman backdoor. We just talked about it. He's going to be in the paint, presents a stick, a skate, everything. We know about the Boosh Bomb. Boosh Bomb's the option when they're taking away everything down low. They're going to fire the puck from the top. And then this is the last one. Say you take away their top three. This is what you can be exposed to. McNasty, Connor taking a right end, single-handedly scoring. You can't do anything to defeat that one. You can maybe slow down the first three, but then you're going to get something special eventually, and that's why they've been so good so far in the playoffs.
Well, and Kevin, it'll be an interesting factor in this series to see how the Panthers balance that line. They were the most penalized team throughout the regular season. They've taken the most penalties in the postseason. However, they were more disciplined in the conference finals and took significantly less penalties per game. And they also held the New York Rangers off for the most part on a pretty strong power play. They were 14 for 15 on the PK in the conference final. So yes, another massive challenge for them facing the Oilers, but the Oilers know if they get these potential power play opportunities, they will need to be sharp in terms of executing. I also think about a player like Bennett, right? Discipline. For me, he found that line to be physical, take less penalties. He was great on offense for them too in the last round.
And imagine that, we're going to talk goalie battle, right? And so it's a great one, Skinner and Bobrovsky. But, you look at the Oilers and what Skinner's done, and it's a real great story. But they have a secret weapon, and it's George Mumford. He's one of the leading sports psychologists in the world, and he's worked with Skinner. Now, he's going to come in here, we can read his lips, my man. So that's so important for Skinner. He's got the belief. He has the tools off the ice to help him to get to this situation, but it still hasn't always been easy, right? Early on in the playoffs, he struggled, and then Pickard replaced him for a couple of starts. Then look at the numbers after being replacing Pickard. Unbelievable. Great save percentage. Everything is terrific. And for Bobrovsky, then you look, it's been a little bit easier this year. So last year, he had a lot more work after 3 rounds, 504 shots, compared to only 415. So how does that affect him? You know, less workload. I think we can all say that last year in the final maybe wasn't his best. But I'm going to say this also about the favorites. So people, I know everybody's been talking, the favorites for Florida because of Bobrovsky, right? Forget about that. We know what Skinner did last game to beat Dallas. His best ever game in the National Hockey League. I expect he'll be terrific again in this series.
Just can't help but think Lord Stanley came up with this idea in 1892. Did he ever imagine it would be Edmonton, Florida for the Dominion Challenge Trophy? Oilers entered the league in '79, Florida in '93. '97 is next.
Tough enough to get the job done? Smart enough to get it done right. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
My primary function is to create a balance and avoid a war.
There's some new players in town, and they brought the plague.
Why are you back? Because I missed you.
When I act, I do so with purpose.
You got my attention. You don't want that. What happened to Kingston?
Ooh, this looks romantic.
Welcome. I'm your host. Check up.
Hi.
Oh, what's weather getting up here?
Fine, but, you know, I think we're just going to go up to bed and...
Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
Good. Mother is buried in the yard.
Meanwhile, at a Verbo, when other vacation rentals have no privacy, try one that has no one but you.
Turkey, onions, pepper, and tomato. Kebabs love turkey, kebabs love fire. Make your shish kaboom. Take your turkey higher. Oppa!
Tough enough to get the job done? Smart enough to get it done right. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
On June 14th,
Abandoned broccoli!
the summer's biggest movie arrives in theaters.
Everybody act regular.
Bring
it on! No, anger.
Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2.
There's a part 2? We're going!
June 14th.
Should have gone to Specsavers. 2 pairs of glasses plus free polarized sun lenses from $149 for a limited time.
Spring is on. On for the making. On for the planting. On for setting everything up. 'Cause spring's for being on a mission. To get more out of the garden. More out of the yard. More out of every inch. More out of each day and night. We're a big plus for your projects and budget. Until Wednesday, get select 10-foot offset umbrellas for $89. Rona Plus for everything spring.
Welcome back to Sunrise Milestones. Perfectly grilled steak paired with Madre Excepcional, the new Spanish lager. You can savor every moment at Milestones. Your table is waiting. David and Elliot.
Well, Ron, it's a yearly tradition before every year at the Stanley Cup Final. Commissioner Bettman delivers his State of the Union address to the media, and about an hour ago he delivered some very exciting news for both hockey fans and for us here at Sportsnet regarding the Four Nations face-off.
And as you know, next season we'll take a little break for the Four Nations tournament. A couple of aspects that I'll confirm for you. One is, in addition to the fact that you all know it'll be February 12th through 20th, we're going to be playing the games at the Bell Center in Montreal and at TD Garden in Boston. That is confirmed. And our national rights holders, all of our national rights holders in both countries will be carrying games.
And Elliot, the first best on best since 2016.
All right, a couple other notes from the Bettman's media conference. The first 6 players for team will be released on June 28th, announced then in Vegas. And the other thing is the salary cap they announced at the Board of Governors meeting in December was supposed to be $87.7 for next year. They've raised it by $300,000, $88 million per team next season.
And Ron, as far as entertainment goes,
$300,000 is a good weekend for Dave in Florida.
Shania Twain, Our Lady, Peace, DJ Khaled going to be entertaining us the next 3 games.
That's, the Four Nations, the big stage. This is obviously the biggest stage, the Stanley Cup, but a close second is the All-Star Weekend. And 2 of the principals involved in our game tonight have been great as hometown heroes. When the Panthers hosted the All-Star last year, Matthew Tkachuk won MVP in the game itself. He was host with the most, and in Toronto, basically Connor McDavid's hometown, he re-engineered the skills, and then he won the $1 million. In the case of Matthew Tkachuk, he's got his brother Brady to make a 1-2 media tandem. In the case of Connor McDavid, his second in command, Oiler alert. It's his teammate, Leon Draisaitl. Elliot, to you.
Leon jokes that he's more direct than you are. Is that true?
That would be true. That would be true. I'm just more intense, right?
He looks pretty intense.
Yeah. And him?
Yeah.
There was like an icing with like 5 minutes left in the crowd went nuts.
This reminds me
people
of
around
when
now.
Solani's buddies came over and they drank the whole plane dry of alcohol. Like, do you have a group of friends like that?
Oh yeah, I do.
Clock hit 0 the other night in Edmonton. What did you notice the most?
I would say just the noise, the fans. Hearing that excitement in the building. I never heard the building louder in my 9 years of playing there.
When you see them set up the trophy and you take that picture with everyone, and that was really special.
The whole group has been through a lot, and especially the core guys that have been here for at least my whole time there. There's been a lot of tough years. A heartbreak, I would say.
When did you start to think that this was the way it could go?
That's a salute to history. 16 wins in a row.
I think during that 16-game run, I saw a lot of things that you see in teams that play this time of year.
We had a really, really hard time winning when we weren't at our best, and we haven't quite figured out how to win a game 3-2, 3-1, and I think in that stretch where we won 16 games in a row, we won a lot of games where our goaltender was good, our PK was good, our power play, and it was different things that brought us a win essentially every night.
I think our group just understands the sense of urgency that maybe you need. Everybody's in that kind of prime, age group. There's no real kids that we're having to baby and bring up. Everybody's played in the playoffs and understanding, what it takes.
I think you build that, you create that over years, right? 2 years ago, we went to the conference finals. Last year, we played good against Vegas too, but you learn, and this year helped us in a different way. We're really tough start. And to find your way back from something like that, that really puts you together.
As much as you and Leon get credit for the way you play, not enough is known or recognized about the way you lead.
And something that I was, thrown into at a young age and had to learn on the job. And I would say Leon is in the same boat. We need each other to be at our very best.
We're very different in the way that we lead.
How are you different?
Sometimes I can be a little bit too direct, maybe. It's probably the German in me, but it's never a personal thing, right? I've seen how good we can be.
Do you visualize the cup, getting it?
Of course, as a kid, you've thought about it, and playing in the NHL, I've thought about it lots. But playing against a team like Florida, you can't be distracted or ahead of yourself. You got to take care of what's in front of you.
So good, and that was done yesterday. We're nearly 50 days into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Fantastic. And the travel, it takes a toll, Kev.
It does, and I know you guys have gotten the same, but lots of people ask me who's going to win this series, and the two teams are so evenly matched that it's going to come down to the little things. So consider this, the travel schedule so far in the playoffs. The Oilers, we already know where they are, Northern Canada. This is what their first round looked like. Compared to, obviously, Florida playing Tampa Bay. It could be a 4-hour drive or it could be an up and down on the plane. And then, the Boston series, again, a little bit more travel for Florida, but you're going to see consistently that the Oilers have been traveling more. And probably the more important thing is the Oilers have played in a different time zone in every series. So some games are at 7, 8 o'clock, their time zone. Then a time zone over, and you look at the total there, and that's on top of that 4,000 distance. The Oilers have already put that in to get to where they are now. So now the Oilers are at, 24,000 already. That's almost like another series and a half they've traveled. And I did it with Boston, coast to coast. Kel, you've done it. Yep. LA to Montreal. The little things, they catch up to you.
Okay, so I totally believe that it's a factor, but I'm also going to use Derek Lalonde's line. I loved it. Whenever he really believed in something, he said it's real. So those numbers are real, and say they can be a factor, but also it is surprising what you can overcome, the fatigue you can overcome mentally.
And maybe it's one more factor for the Oilers to feel motivated. If it feels like that's in the favor of the Panthers, one more thing for them to build incentive.
Absolutely. Time for the Stanley Cup concert series. DA mentioned some of the shows we'll see when we get up to Edmonton. This time around, we're going outside the rink here at Amarant Bank Arena. Kid Laroi has a chart-topping song right now, Girls, but this is him performing Bleed outside here.
To get the job done, smart enough to get it done right. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Bike riders.
You can't have those colors on in here.
You'd have to kill me to get this jacket off. I don't want any trouble here.
Then I'll let you lead. What about the bar? Burn it down.
We gotta go.
Nah, we don't. You're scared of us.
The Bike Riders, only in theaters June 21st.
Turkey, onions, pepper, and tomato. Kebabs love turkey, kebabs love fire. Make your shish kaboom. Take your turkey higher. Oppa!
Stop dreaming. Start shopping. Red Tag Days are on at Toyota with great offers on select models. Find yours today at shoptoyota.ca. Stop dreaming. Start shopping. Red Tag Days are on at Toyota with great offers on select models. Find yours at shoptoyota.ca. Paramount Plus is now Canada's home of South Park.
We're in Canada. Well, of course you are. Let's watch American television. Sweet.
Only on Paramount Plus, Canada's home of South Park.
Tough enough to get the job done, smart enough to get it done right. Tough this smart can only be called F-150.
Morgan, what's the big deal with this Riley Big Pizza?
Well, Wally, you know how much I love Pizzaville. This is a regular large pizza, but that is Pizzaville's Riley Big Pizza. And it tastes the best, too.
Order Pizzaville tonight.
Should have gone to Specsavers. 2 pairs of glasses plus free polarized sun lenses from $149 for a limited time.
Introducing Popeye's Big Box. You not only get 2 pieces of signature chicken, 2 regular sides, and a biscuit for $7.99. You can also add a fancy strawberry biscuit.
Am I just a basic biscuit?
Live a little.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Welcome to Sportsnet Central. I'm Ivanka Osmak, and this is...
Everything I need.
Ken?
Highlights. Oh! It's all here.
Ken, where have you been?
Oh, you know, just tapping the app.
Hockey Night in Canada and the NHL on Sportsnet present the Stanley Cup Final.
This can be too hard for some to describe, too elegant for some cliche, too sizable not to consider all reason, and simply too rare to rely on hope. It's here that hockey's novel is written. Chapters of raw emotion that cover all possible genres.
Stanley Cup champions!
Moments that encircle this game's history. A tapestry of mere mortals whose names became immortal. Two remain on the tilt of greatness. One aims to leave behind a pile of broken mirrors. The other carries the burden of tradition.
There's a new bunch on the block.
Of a country. And the expectation to not only be great, but better.
McWow! Off the stick of Connor McDavid.
Trophy to win is the most beautiful trophy, the Stanley Cup.
They can feel it coming. History is in the air. It's the Stanley Cup Final, next on Sportsnet. This is Hockey Night in Canada on Sportsnet.
You want action? We've got action for you here tonight. He's got a stick. He's in. Scores!
Absolutely amazing. Producer Phil Rezenkowski and superstar Phil Collins. His first solo single for all the 40 albums that Phil, as either Genesis or his solo career, produced. That's